Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode number 21 of the Make Music Income podcast. My name is Stevie B. I'm here with Eric Copeland. This episode is brought to you by productionmusicacademy.com and makemusicincome.com. Go check those out when you have a minute. Today's episode, we are going to be chatting about the value of collaboration, both artistically and in business. And I want to start this whole podcast and discussion with a quote from the great Michael Jordan, who once said, "Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships." I love this quote. Now, of course, we're in the music business, and this isn't exactly a competitive sport, but the point is that there's simply deciding to team up with others, whether it be an artistic collaboration or whether it be something like this podcast, for example, where, Eric and I have sort of combined forces to create something interesting because, we enjoy it and it creates a lot of value for the community. But the truth is that we can't do it all on our own. And Eric and I rely on each other in this case to make this podcast happen. And it's a team effort. And I think, if anyone knows the value of collaboration here, it'd be yourself, man, because, you've been collaborating with Nashville players on many, many different projects over the years. I've collaborated with musicians here in Vancouver on lots of different, studio sessions and whether it be playing in live bands and my own band and all that. But it's interesting to think about collaboration in terms of like what I'm doing right now with production music and writing music in my DAW and in my studio here, because until very recently I've been kind of like a lone wolf, and to be honest, until I started this whole journey on YouTube here and on Discord, it was pretty lonely just writing
music
by myself in my room, and I've don't get me wrong, I've come to appreciate the fact that I can create all this music in just the comfort of my room. It's awesome. But the last few weeks have been really interesting because I've started a few collaboration projects with some folks. And we can talk more about that later in the podcast. But what's really got me excited right now is this crazy musical collaboration that I've got going on in the academy right now,
crazy.
and this is April's challenge. You've already sent me some ideas for this track, which is great. I mean, essentially, in a nutshell, I've just kind of I gave the academy members a chord progression and a tempo, and everyone's just been sending their ideas, and I'm sort of acting as the producer. I'm chopping it up, and I'm giving some feedback if needed, and I'm kind of producing it and making it sound right in Logic, and I'm kind of tracking my progress with it. I'm going to share the whole thing with the academy, but the whole point of the exercise really is just to promote the benefits of working together, and which are things get done faster, and you inspire and learn from each other, and that's the whole point of collaboration for me. I think that's the beauty of it. So we can chat about that more, but maybe before we get into the weeds, why don't you tell me what's been going on with you this last week? I was just in your live stream this morning. Chat about more about what's going on there. But what's going on?
Yeah, we had a very interesting live stream this morning. It's a video that I've had planned for quite a while called The Video We All Wish We Could Make. And I was going to do it like a edited video, but I ended up, because it was going to be this big admission video type of thing, it kind of goes along with my announcement of this new music income I have, my teaching thing that's going on now, but which will be an edited video. I'm hoping to shoot that tomorrow. I'm also talking to the place that I work at doing this work and seeing if they might want to get the video team there involved in it, since it involves them.
Cool.
So it could become a big thing. I don't know. I'm going to find out this afternoon. But I'm in my third week at this new music income, and like I said, I will be announcing that here very soon because I want to do it right. And but I got my first paycheck. It's right over there.
Nice.
And it's good to get that get that first paycheck. And speaking of first paychecks, I also got my first pay from YouTube.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
It's not actually in my bank, but they sent me the thing. So when they send you the email, it says we've sent you a payment.
Yeah.
But it wasn't there like after that email. It must take a day or so to get in there.
Yeah, to transfer into your bank account directly. That's what they do for me. They just put it right into
usually take a day or something like that.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit, but yeah.
But that's exciting because that's a new monthly music income, and which I need because stock music took a little bit of a dip this year because of Motion Array. So it all very cool. But again, it's like I talked about in my video. This is not something that I said, what? I'm surprised I have a music income from YouTube. This is something that I've spent about 3/4 of a year developing every single week, video after video after video. I mean, I haven't done as many videos as some people that it takes to get. I think I've only done 30 or 40 videos total.
Oh man,
but
well, you've gotten to the monetization phase much faster than the average person, and it's
a lot of that's due to you and Daniel and Jesse at Sync My Music. I think a lot of those guys have shouted me out and had me on, and I got involved with the Discord, and we grew the Discord. And so a lot of that is I found an audience real fast. And I think that's why most people can't grow YouTube channels fast, is because it takes a long time for them to find their audience.
Well, you've embraced the spirit of collaboration, which is the topic of this episode. And I think that there's so much to be said for reaping the benefits of that. I mean, like you have a very kind of community oriented mindset. You've had that since day one, since you started your YouTube channel. You're very keen to reach out to people, like like in the way that you reached out to me, and we chatted online for the first time. And I think I was slow to that, and whereas I think you kind of had the right idea from the start, which is maybe one of the main reasons why your channel has been able to grow so quickly, is because you have a very collaborative sort of mindset, and you're drawing from tons of experience in your career on that front too.
If I ever do a video talking about how to grow a YouTube video fast, and you got to be careful about doing these kind of videos, because then people will think you're a YouTube video expert or something like that. But I will say the way it grew fast was that I did a lot of collaborations with other people's channels who already had a lot of followers. Yes. And I siphoned off those followers because they found out, hey, I want to listen to this guy too. And so they started listening to my channel just like they listen to you or listen to Daniel or listen to Jesse. So, and I have lots of plans to do that with lots of other people. I just did it with Stephen Malin. He has a very big audience in gaming music, and a lot of those people came over there. My subscribers continue to grow, so very lucky about that, and very very thankful for that. But another great thing that happened this week is I signed a new music client.
Oh, cool.
A new production client, or I can't say a production client because I'm not really going to produce him. I'm more of an executive producer in things these days, where I am guiding the brand, basically building the brand. And he is a solo kind of folk pop guy. And, this is kind of like phase one of the new Creative Soul Records. And I've been talking about this a while. I was either going to shutter it and completely stop doing it, or I was going to go start it in a completely new way. And the new way is to really just find artists and songs that really moved me, and really I'm like, man, that feels good on my ears. I like listening to that, rather than just saying, someone emailing, say, hey, can you get me into a studio and record me and build my brand? And I listen to them, or they have nothing. They've never recorded before or anything like that. I'm probably just not going to approach those anymore. I'll probably just say, hey, go see my friend Steve in Nashville and track with him and go through the recording process. If you need help on the back end building your brand, then come back to me. But I'm really being selective of who I sign from this point on, and who I work for on a monthly basis, because I need to be passionate about all things. Part of the video I made today was about I am only following, and it's mostly true, the things that really move me. It may not, like this guy, it's not my music. It's not only my music, but it is something that I'm passionate about, and I can work with him towards the songs because I love his sound. I love his, his style. It's very simple. He can produce himself. He doesn't need me to produce it. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. On the downside this week, I broke a crown eating a bag of Doritos or something.
Oh, no.
This is a tooth that's had 3 root canals over the past 10 or 12 years.
Oh,
and it's about the dentist today. I went to a dentist this morning. He's like, you should pull it. Just get rid of it. I don't know what,
it's like a molar, like one in the back?
Yeah, very one in the back.
Oh, man, just pull it.
Yeah,
just
I think I'm going to. I'm gonna look at some. I get some new dental insurance here soon, but if I'm not paying $600 or $1,500 to keep a tooth that nobody can see,
exactly.
So I know it'll be weird, but that's just getting a little. I'm just tired dealing with it. So in sync news, I think I've identified the last few country songs I need for my country album, and I'm finding partners for those and doing new demos about those. I have a tracking session coming up in Nashville on that, and I'm getting more percussion songs from another drummer on some new percussion songs. In stock news, my Easter boost is over. I can tell already. It's my earnings have gone down. I should still hit level 4 on Motion Array, but that should only get me over the $100 mark if I'm lucky. And my experiment with Pond 5 and Audio Jungle continues, and there'll be another video about that, and I'll be doing something different next month probably.
Yeah.
I just continue. It's like all like an experiment, and really stock has always been like that for me. It's just been like this big experiment. I just try stuff. I throw stuff out there and see what happens. Oh, that happened. Or I'll try to write a song like you and put that out there and see what happens like that. Like right now, I've got a more up-tempo kind of funky with electric guitar and up-tempo thing going that I'm going to try to finish next for that. But I started that this week. I just haven't been able to get back to it. But I'm doing better this week with my time in the mornings and early afternoons where I have time to do just a few things, and that is I'm getting to the end of client work that I have to do. Everything's going to be subbed out starting May 1st. But my composing time, trying to make Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays composing time, and I think that's really important, is to figure when you're going to sit down and do stuff. And then my video time. And one reason that, talking about collabs, I think live videos are the ultimate in collaboration because it's with a live audience that you're talking to.
Yeah.
It's almost like a class. And so I don't know if I prefer it. I mean, I like doing it, and I love people being there for the live video, but I don't know what that was.
It sounded like a cat in the background there.
Well, there's a cat right there, but I don't know why she
like a
made
meow.
She was like, meh. I think she saw like a squirrel or something. But yeah, I love doing the lives, but I love making like recorded videos and editing them and adding in effects and stuff like that. So I'll be doing another one of those soon. But yeah, man, how about you? What's been going on?
Yeah, well, the live videos are, they're great. I've been really enjoying your live videos. I haven't done one for my channel in a little while. I do them, bi-weekly for the Academy. I do little private streams. And it's kind of nice for me because it's a little less pressure. There's not, so many people watching and commenting. It's a lot more chill. And I basically just broadcast like what I do every day, which is, sit down and try to figure stuff out. The last live stream I did yesterday for the Academy was using one of the members in the Academy sent me some keys stuff. He's an amazing keyboard player or piano player, and it's got so much style. And I asked him to send me some licks, some stuff, and I'm turning that into a lo-fi track. So cool. I started that process yesterday morning, and I filmed it and live streamed it, and it's live in the Academy now.
I'll go look at it.
Yeah, it's fun. I think the track's going to be great. And then sorry, go ahead.
I try to take a different tack on the live videos. Like on Tuesday, I do the music reviews, and I think I figured out the stereo issue with that. But on Thursdays, I actually write a script. I write a script to read like you, I think, like I did last week before our podcast. I don't know if you had a script today when you started out just to kind of go by, but I think that's important because I think we can just sit here and think of things and go off the trail really easily.
Well, I'm not as good as that as you are with that. I mean, you have a really nice kind of flow of consciousness, which is something I kind of like rely on for this podcast because I sometimes get I think my train of thought gets kind of carried away, and if I were to go into a live stream totally unprepared without a topic or some kind of script or something like that, I'd be completely lost.
I am a rabbit holer. Don't think I don't go into rabbit holes. Sometimes I go down so deep I can't remember where I was when I started. I'll do that with my class or when I'm talking to somebody. I'm like, how did we get here? So I totally
I'm the same way. But yeah, I feel you. Going into like a live stream with like a script or a topic and being prepared is a really cool idea. And for you, I think it makes a lot of sense now that you've got this job that you got to go to every day, and it's like the time crunch is a little bit more real. You don't have time to edit your videos, and the editing, as we all know, takes just tons of time. Yeah, man. Like I had a crazy week of writing. Like I've just been doing a ton of writing. I got my second commission from the Artlist original team
for 3 songs this time,
for 3
right?
tracks this time, and just working away at them, man. It's cool because they give you kind of like the feedback process is in phases, so you can send them some very, very like rudimentary ideas initially, and it's actually kind of like a little bit weird to send people like really rough ideas. I get really self-conscious about it. I'm like, this doesn't sound good, but they understand, they get it, they're music producers themselves.
Yeah, like, dude, your roughs and my roughs and then are probably pretty. I mean, we are such. I'm not bragging here. I'm just saying we've done this a long time. Where our roughs are a lot of time better than a lot of people's demos, just because we perfect them. We know how to mix them and master them, and we know how to put together something that I've been told that a lot. I'm like, this is just a rough. And they're like, your rough is better than any master I've ever made. But that's just because of experience. That's the only reason.
Yeah, well, there's an element of trust with the Artlist team, for example, where it's like I don't feel super self-conscious about sending them roughs because they know that I'm capable of doing. It's like they wouldn't have brought me on sure. board for it had they was there no trust established. I already have music on Artlist, so they get it. They get it, and so I'm sending them like basically just like chords and like a beat and like an arrangement, like really, really, really simple stuff, and they kind of sign off on that. And they're like, okay, yeah, we like this, and then you send them another round of like semi-finished revisions, and then they sign off on that. And it's fun, man. It's really, really fun, and I'm just grateful that they're stoked on what I'm sending them. I'm grateful that that it's all kind of running smoothly, and it'll be interesting, like you said in your live stream this morning, to reassess and reevaluate where our income streams are on the 25th episode of the podcast, as opposed to what they were on what was it, like the first
I think it was the second. I think it was the second one.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's funny. I'm kind of in a different place. Like I'm not up. I stopped uploading to Audio Jungle and Pond 5 and the stock libraries, other than Motion Array. Like I've completely stopped, and it's not because like I hate those libraries or have anything against them. It's just that I'm just focusing squarely on the resources that I have to bring in like almost guaranteed income.
And Audio Jungle takes time, and if your time is precious, you can't, like, that's why I have really just ignored everybody. I'm like you, same thing, except I have a quick process. I upload Pond 5, then Motion Array, then Audio Jungle. I do it all at once for each new song. And so especially since I'm still doing all this experimentation with P5 and Audio Jungle, and trying to just see how I can which is some news we should talk about, by the way.
Dude, it's frustrating because I actually still get sales on Audio Jungle. It's like it's not, and like I have a payout coming from them for the next payout period, and I'm just like, man, I'd actually like to keep uploading to Audio Jungle and Pond 5, but I literally am so stretched for the time. Like it just
I get it.
it takes time to, wish I had
I totally know what you're talking about.
like a computer program that could just do it for me automatically. But man, it's rough to find the time. I mean, between my dealing with Motion Array and Artlist and the Academy and trying to develop courses for the Academy, which takes a big chunk of my time, trying to develop content and catch up there post-COVID, my week of just of Abyss. Man, it's been tough. I've been super busy working like 12, 14-hour days. But it doesn't feel like long days because I love the work, and I'm stoked on it. So just trying to get my
Cool.
my daily exercise
you-
in, and then I'm happy. Yeah, well, let's talk about collaboration.
Yeah.
I actually have I have a little project that I'm about to start with my friend Mensage, who is also on Artlist. And we're gonna start a little lo-fi hip hop track together, and that'll be one of my first like lo-fi collabs. And he's in a very similar position to me in terms of being on Spotify and like on Artlist, and this is someone who reached out to me a while back, who I think initially had applied to Artlist and was turned down, but I gave him some feedback on his work, and man, he writes amazing stuff, like really, 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 really great stuff. I'll put a link to his Spotify in the description of this video.
Okay.
But also a guitarist, and I never think to reach out to people and like ask to collab and stuff like that. In the same way that I reached out to one of my members in the Academy and said, hey man, like send me some key stuff, like let's work together. In a lot of ways, like I think listening to you talk about how you collaborate with all these artists in Nashville and stuff like that really kind of got me thinking. And as well, in terms of growing your YouTube channel, it got me thinking that I should be more open to this kind of thing, and especially in terms of effectively growing my Spotify profile. I think that's a really, really clever way to do it, is to find someone else who's sort of in the same boat with you in terms of like monthly listeners, or has a similar kind of audience, and say, hey, let's work together and expose our audiences to each other. And that's kind of what how I'm looking at the path forward for Spotify growth. And Spotify growth is something that I really want to start focusing on and talking more about in the Academy in the months to come. So
Yeah, you can be doing like Stevie B featuring so-and-so or something like that, or whatever you're doing. Or Steven, you're Stephen Bedall on Spotify,
Steve,
right?
Yeah, just my name, yeah.
Stephen Bedall featuring so-and-so, and I do some of that with my Positive Spin songs thing sometimes. I have done that, but I have found that a lot of the people that I'm working with don't prefer, like a lot of the session players don't, or session singers, don't prefer to have me do that because they may or may not want to be associated with my brand. Not because it's not good, but because it's just not their brand, right. And they are trying to be very on brand. Mm-hmm. I do have a collaboration that's going on right now that came from one of my Music Review Tuesdays, where someone sent me this great song. And after investigating, I found out that it was an orchestration that he did off of a Pop Girl song. We've talked about this before. And I looked up the Pop Girl, she's kind of a pop, she's kind of like a pop singer writer. And I got in touch with her and I said, I got to tell you the story about how this came along. And she's like, okay. And so she's been very nice. She's already sent me all the tracks for that song. He sent me all his tracks. And then I'm going to take it and remix it with adding in some players from Nashville to just really fill it out. Mm-hmm. I think hers was fine. Her version is beautiful too, that she did on Spotify.
Yeah.
But I have like a third version I'm hearing with all of it combined, and so I do a lot of collabs, but only because it's my job. In other words, I collab with artists every day because that's part of what I do for a living. And I collab with all the players. I'm starting to collab with a lot of the session guys to make new things for Sync. And they're loving it because no one's asked them that before. All someone's asked them before is come play and we'll pay you and then go away. And I'm saying, let's partner on these things and get you some back end, which most players don't get. they don't get the back end. They're hired guns for the front end, and they're paid in the front end and never paid again usually, unless something becomes a huge runaway hit and there's extra payments due to them. But usually they just never see anything, especially on indie stuff. They never see a back end. So I'm offering these guys a back end, and they're so excited to be part of something that might bring them some money later, and it gives them a little bit more artistic room to do their thing rather than just be told by the producer what to do. So it's been a lot of fun. I did it last year with a keyboard arranger and who passed away from COVID last year, sadly. But we did an amazing album together and a lot of work. And it was a great collab. It's one of the best ones I've ever done in my life, I think. And but I'm doing that now with some other players in Nashville, and we're putting these things out. So most of my collab story comes from session hiring players to play on projects. And collabing literally with the artist to co-write or write a song or arrange it or produce it. But I am starting to get into more of that as I do more of this licensing stuff and say, let me find people to collab with, and we become partners in the income of licensing income, which is attractive to everybody.
I think one of the things that makes collaboration difficult for some people, and I can relate to this a little bit, is relinquishing total creative control over the situation. And I think part of collaboration is kind of allowing yourself to let go of the steering wheel a bit. I think, maybe one of my most memorable collaboration moments is just finding the players for my band. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over, maybe a year or something like this, finding the right players to kind of bring my music to life. But the whole idea with starting like my band Wooden Horseman was just, it wasn't, I didn't go into it with an idea that like I was going to get these guys to play exactly what I told them. And that was it. It's like, hey, come and play my music, and I'm like the creative director, and you're going to do exactly what I tell you to do. And no, don't play that note, or yes, play that. Like, it wasn't going to be like that. It was going to be like, hey, I'm going to give you the template. I'll steer the ship effectively, but and play the leadership role. But I'm going to give you the template. Here's the chords. Here's the basic structure. Here's the words maybe, and I want you guys to inject your creativity and throw your talents into this blank canvas. And a lot of times it's like I get suggestions from the members about like, hey, you should change this, and there's something in the back of my head sometimes that goes like, I don't want to change it because it's like it's my song, but it's actually kind of cathartic to let go of that sometimes and just let something be whatever it's going to be, and allowing the group to decide as a whole whether it's objectively better or worse, and it's like a democratic process, and at the end of the day it's like you have this amazing thing to show for it, and I'm so grateful for those guys in the band. They've added so much value to everything, and they take ownership of those songs as well. It's not like it's like when I put them up on SOCAN, my PRO, it's or whatever, I'm cutting them into the songwriting percentages as well. It's not like, I'm just taking all of the ownership for writing the tracks. It's like they play a role in it too, and it just makes everyone feel better about the situation.
You just basically described my production process. I walk in and I have a song, and a lot of times there's nothing tracked yet. Yeah. They will sit and listen to the artist play their guitar and sing, and then they will come up with their own chart, and they will then we'll all talk about it in the room about kind of what we feel it should go, and then everybody says, I got an idea, and everybody goes to their place, and they do their thing, and now these guys are such pros that it usually, like in a minute, Like once they all start counting it down and playing it, it's like they've been playing it on tour for a year. It's just so unbelievable. But and it's just a complete cathartic experience for anyone who ever experiences it.
It's magical, man. There's real magic when those things happen. When you get a group of talented people together and the ideas start flowing, and man, collaborations can be absolutely magical. Sometimes they don't work. Not all collabs work out, of course. But yeah, man. I mean, have you ever seen that video of like the Rolling Stones? You can like back in the '60s when they were workshopping the idea for "Sympathy for the Devil." It's like they're in the studio. You can YouTube this, and they're going through iterations of different tempos and vibes for "Sympathy for the Devil," and you see the idea like come into shape over time, and it's fascinating to watch it. It really, really is. It's so cool. There's magic there. There's real magic.
I see it every time I track in Nashville. It's like that. It wasn't like that in Kentucky. Like before I moved, I literally sometimes would stand out in the room in front of the drummer saying, "Ride, hat, fill," because I needed him to do certain things. And he didn't do them naturally. So I had to guide him through it. And he wanted me to guide him through it.
Yeah,
I don't have to do that in Nashville.
Yeah,
none of that. Guitars or drums, a bass or anything like that. Keys. These guys are just going to come up with ideas that I would never have thought of. Now, Sometimes I go in and I've already programmed it. And I've got a piano part. I've got some loops. And so really we're just filling in the band to it. But even then, I'm telling them, be creative. Especially the guitar guy, because I'm not a guitar guy. You're a guitar and bass guy, so it's probably harder for you to let bass parts and or guitar parts go because you probably have in your mind already what should be happening on those.
100%.
And when I go to a studio and I've already done the piano and I have to hand it to a keyboard guy, I'm like, well, dude, I kind of hear pad and I kind of hear real piano on this, and I'll let him replay the piano because he's a better piano player than I am. But sometimes I need to keep it what I did because it's so right for the thing.
Yeah.
But and I'll say maybe you could add B3 to this, or maybe you could add some kind of synthesizer thing to this. So and it's harder for that. But on guitars, I have no idea. I'm like, Dave, do what, or whoever the guitar player is. I'm like, maybe Gretsch. Maybe acoustic here or electric. And I let them pick because you know what? Their brains start going down roads for guitar. Like, what am I going to do acoustically? What am I going to do electric? And which kinds of electrics am I going to use? Because there's going to be multiple layers. What kind of mics are we going to use to record them? Ribbon mics, or is it going to be other kind of mics? Or are these going to be straight out or whatever effects? All that stuff is. When we get to that and bass and drums, I don't have to produce them. I just have to say, do what you think is right. And they talk amongst themselves and say, what if we did this kind of thing? And or sometimes we do have like, what if we're like a Coldplay type of thing here? And then they all know what to do if that's the case. Or what if it's U2? Or what if it's what if we're trying to make something that sounds like Chicago in the 70s or something? And they all know what to do. They know how to even the engineer, how to fix all the EQs and preamps and everything and get it that sound. So there's not a lot to do when you have super talented people that can do it and that. So that kind of collab, it almost doesn't feel like a collab to me. Well, I guess it totally is a collab to me, I guess, because I'm describing exactly what you said with your band.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so inspiring to work with other people when the vibe is right and the magic is happening.
That's not as easy though if you're in Middle America or anywhere around the world where you're with any people ranging from complete amateur to semi-pro.
Yes,
and
in the band space maybe. I mean, we're talking about kind of like live music vibes here, but I mean this can extend to like like finding people online and stuff like that. And I mean, look, I'm just being so, ever since the whole Discord community started and the Academy started, I've just been incredibly inspired by the talent that I see from the members of the Academy and from the people in the Discord posting their music and stuff. Man, there's so much talent going around.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah.
And you know, it just, there is such a fantastic and endless world of talent out there, and people who are down to work together and to create things together. And you know, like I said earlier in this podcast, it's like, for a long time, when it, like, especially when COVID hit, it's just like, man, I'm just spending a lot of time on my own in my room here, like in my own bubble. And getting on YouTube and putting myself out there a little bit was the key to getting out of that bubble and sort of opening myself up to a greater community. Despite the fact that I couldn't really, go out and do that physically, for a long period of time there. So.
And if you're listening to this podcast and you're wondering, I have no idea even how to get started. Well, there's a few sites that you can quickly get started. I mean, certainly YouTube, you can go and find artists that you like or whatever. You can listen on Spotify, and a lot of people are more approachable than you think, and they have websites and things like that where you can contact them. But there are certain sites that are built for this. One of them is called soundbetter.com. That we almost should have had them as a sponsor for this video, because if you want to find talent that you can listen to a lot of their work and then hire them to collab with them. Now, you're probably not talking about hiring people. You're talking about just meeting up and saying, hey, you want to work on something together? That's different. Fiverr and Upwork.com are two other sites where you can find people that will work for you or work and find great talent. As far as though what you're talking about, what do you think the best options are?
Yeah, I think, getting on forums is probably a great place, to find organic collaborations that aren't transactional.
Discord for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Discord for sure. There's so many Discord servers out there. And I mean, I think a lot of YouTubers in general these days have a Discord server. And I think that's a great place to start. I know a friend of mine here in Vancouver is been chatting with game developers, indie game developers online, in Discord servers and in forums. And he's actually been able to make some inroads with some of these developers as a composer. Did a bunch of composing for free. No transactions at all. He just wanted to kind of get involved in the community. And I mean, dude, there's so many of these indie games being developed. It's insane. It's a huge community. Steve Malin I'm sure would attest to this. It's massive. And so a lot of these startup the projects are they're not. It's not like they have big budgets that are flying around. So they're looking for composers who might be interested in just doing some kind of collaboration. And my friend Sam just did this. He was he worked on a couple projects for free. There's no business dealings at all. And after a few projects, someone reached out to him. Like, someone heard his music and was like, hey, I do actually have a budget and I'd like to hire you for my project. So that's how these things kind of start organically. And I talk a lot about this in terms of film scoring. It's like, if you haven't done any of that kind of stuff, like, just volunteer to, just collab on some projects, like work with some indie filmmakers who don't have a budget, who are just out of film school, and collaborate, just work together. Don't worry about money. And use it as something that you can put on your demo reel on your website, and things snowball quickly. Like, they snowball really quickly. These people might, maybe the filmmaker really likes your work. They tell their friends, and then down the road, year, 2, 3, whatever later, you get your first paid project, and boom, you're off to the races. So, but yeah, man, like, get online, and I mean, I don't know. I can't, like, the thing is with Discord is you can't, like, just search servers. Like, I don't think it's like, it doesn't really work that way. You kind of have to like find them.
Yeah, but if you're part of our Discord, it's almost 500 members strong.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
And you'll find that in the description below of both the podcast and the video. And so make sure if you're listening and you haven't joined our Discord yet, and this is interesting to you, there are tons of people who'd be happy to talk to you and collab with you in there. So
yeah, and I can think of, I mean, I'm in a few other Discords as well. I mean, I don't know if Steve Malin has a Discord, probably.
I think he does.
Yeah. I mean, if you're interested in game music.
Well, I think I think you can also suss this out by finding people on Spotify you like, finding people on YouTube that you like, and then tracing them down, finding their website, finding their Instagram. Instagram seems to be the best place to reach most people who are probably under 30. If you run into artists under 35 or 30, likely you're going to be better off to message them to DM them on Instagram rather than try to find an email, which is, they should have an email up too, because email is better. Because I check email first, and I think everybody always checks their email. You may forget to check Instagram one day.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So I think business-wise, if you want people doing stuff with you by email, you better have a good, at least Gmail account, free Gmail account, and check it daily, first thing. And to me, that's still the way professionals do music in this world.
I think email's the professional. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
way to go. I think what you said earlier is so true, which is that people are more approachable than you think.
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah, I didn't even know that this girl did. It was the girl song before this guy showed it to me for Music Review Tuesday. I thought he had did it. He had made it and just hired her as a singer.
Right.
But as it turns out, he had just contacted her, like I did, and just said, "I love this song. Would you mind if I did a free orchestral arrangement of it?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." And he did, and it could be mixed better, but it's really good. And it's completely different than her arrangement. It's got, I think he just used her vocals, and so it's people are doing this all the time. And now here's another collab that's happening because of that collab. I heard his, and I'm going to do one with the two of them based on him doing one with her. So it just like, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends. Nobody knows what that means, but that's an old commercial from TV commercial.
Oh yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, it's like, and just tell somebody, and they'll tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and it keeps backing out, and you see all these people. It's some like Palmolive commercial or something. I can't remember.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Yep.
That's the snowball effect.
Yep.
Yeah. What about collaboration in terms of business? We should talk about that too.
You mean in terms of YouTube channels and social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I don't want to just define that all as strictly business, but I guess it is in that realm. It's not necessarily musical. It's let's going back to the topic of growing your channel and growing your social influence and your profile online.
Well, I think it started with the Daniel thing, where I had talked to Daniel of stockmusiclicensing.com. I had talked with him 6 months before I got into this YouTube channel, just because I was getting into stock music, and he was doing his free thing. Hey, let's hook up. And so he was and you've done this too. He's so gracious. He's so approachable. He's so approachable. And we had a great conversation. And so we knew of each other. I would comment from time to time personally on his videos and things like that. And we would email from time to time when something new happened. I'd say, "Hey, did you hear that Audio Jungle's closing its doors?" That all happened before I started my channel. And we would email back and forth. He says, "Yes." And then next thing I knew, he had a video on it, but
yeah.
And so on my fourth video, I think it was my fourth video, I did one called, which is my biggest video, which was called making, I can't remember what it was, but it was
$600 a week
about,
or something like that.
Make $600 a month, $0 to $600 a month on stock music or something like that.
Right.
And the next morning after I put that out, there was a video on his channel called $0 to $600 a month in stock music licensing with a different thumbnail on it. And I was like, he totally took my video. What? And as it turns out, he did that video about my video. He only talked about me for the entire video, and because he knew me and he had said he's a friend of ours and he's a very nice blah blah blah, and he talked about my video, which basically introduced his whole 10,000 or whatever it was, 8 or 9,000 at the time audience to my channel, which was the start of immediate and fast growth into hundreds and hundreds of subscribers, which drove me to close to 5. And then you and I started teaming up, and that drove me to 500. And then we went to. Oh, and by the way, it's so sweet of you to show me at the bottom, show me on the motion array screen the other night. That was very nice.
Oh, the March winner thing.
Yeah, that was sweet. Thank you. I mean that literally. But I always, it's always nice when someone shouts you out on their video. It feels good.
Totally. But, Daniel did the exact same thing to me too. I put a video out on like when I had my first big pay month from Motion Array. I was like, oh my God, there's money here. And I made a video about that, and he literally like did a whole segment in one of his videos about and pumping me in. Like I was totally surprised by that, and in the exact same way, it was like through him doing that, like I got like a huge influx of subscribers on all the people that were watching Daniel started watching my channel, and man, yeah,
and then
it's cool.
Then after that, I started doing it strategically. I really said, okay, I'm going to collab strategically this way, and so I thought, how can I? My next target was Jesse, because I've been watching Jesse's channel much longer than Daniel's, and so I was like, okay, I actually did his Sync Academy for a few months or back last year, and let me and then because of a lot of his videos. And actually, 2 of his videos directly led to 2 libraries I'm signed with that I watched. Now, he didn't tell me how to do it. I went out and did it myself with emails, but I figured out who to email by watching his channel. And so I emailed him. I said, dude, I am in 3 libraries now, and 2 of them are basically due to Sync Academy and your videos. I would love to come on your channel. I made sure to be on his channel rather than having him as a guest on mine. I want to be a guest on his channel because he has 20-something thousand subscribers, and I knew that if I could be on his channel saying that I did this, that, and get a shout out back to Make Music Income, that would grow the channel. So that plus I strategically did the same thing with Taxi. I didn't ask them. They came to me, as it turns out, just because he was mad at the video that I did. But that was what took me over 1,000 subscribers. Actually, I think I had almost reached 1,000 subscribers anyway, but that's what helped my watch hours a lot, or maybe it was subscribers. But anyway, I think the podcast is what
do I have to make a video
ended up
about
taking
Taxi
us.
just so I can make Michael mad at me and get him to get me on the channel?
I think so. I think you're going to have to do that. But anyway, so I got really strategic with it, and Stephen Malin has been that way. Dave Croft has been that way. I'm getting ready to do one with, what's his name, and I are talking now. Marlon Gibbons and I are talking now about doing one. Nice. I've got Clint Music and I are talking about doing one right now. And so I've got it on the thing to repeatedly do that. And it's not just to siphon their subscribers, but to widen all of our, because a lot of my subscribers are going to go over to Clint's channel that were never there, and Marlon's channel that were never there. So if we do it right and we do trade out videos like I did with Dave, or like I did with like you and I do, or I've done it with a few other people, Tom Dupree, the third we did trade out videos. And I think trade out videos are the best way. So if you are a new YouTuber, or you have a Spotify and someone else has a Spotify and they have more monthly listeners to you, then you can get in touch with them and say, hey, I think we'd be good to partner together. Now, you got to have something to bring to the table. You can't just walk in like as a total newbie and say, will you partner with me? There's not much use for them to do that. Yeah. There was for Jesse, because Jesse for his audience could see that someone who watched his channel and took his Sync Academy got something out of it and got signed to 3 libraries, and he wants people to know that.
Exactly.
So
yeah, that's
Daniel
a
wants
good
people
trade
to
of
know.
value, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there needs to be like kind of like you can't just hit people up and say, hey, can you promote me? I mean, it's like, you
have to have something you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to do with each one of these. And a lot of it will be my channel needs to get a few more thousand subscribers to be worth it to some of these guys who have 10,000 subscribers, you know. But if they come in and see this fast growing channel that's putting out good content all the time, then they know, oh, okay, I might want to do something with this guy because he is he's shouting people out and he is guiding people. And if you go into the description of all my videos, your YouTube channel's in there, Daniel's is in there, Jesse's is in there, lots of people that I haven't even done a thing with yet are in there. Music Library Report and Ed Hartman and lots of people who have been instrumental in my growth through the years. Every single video since day one, they're all in there.
That's awesome.
So you gotta give to get for sure.
Yeah.
When you collab.
Yeah, man. Totally.
Well, speaking of collabing, it's about time for me to go to collab somewhere else.
You got to get to class. There's the students await.
I got to go collab with my students now. But I think this is a very valuable idea that you came up with for this episode, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with your Production Music Academy collab thing this month.
It's gonna be the theme song to my live streams.
Do I get to sing any on it? Do you need vocals or no?
I think you're one of only 2 people that volunteered for vocals. So
I can do oohs and ahs or backgrounds, or I love doing backgrounds. So if you have somebody else who wants to solo, that's fine. I'll give you your BGVs if you want.
Sweet.
So.
We'll see what happens, man. I'm just letting it run. You know, I'm just letting it do its own thing, and it's sounding pretty cool. So I got a lot of work to do on it, but yeah, man, we'll see how it goes. Cool. It's really fun.
Yeah, everybody should keep watching this channel because I guess you're going to put that on here when you're done on this channel, right?
Yeah, I'll do a live stream about it for sure.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening, for watching, for continuing to be part of this podcast, and for hanging out with us today. And look forward to next week.
Heck yeah. Episode 22 next week.
Sorry to wake you there, Steve.
Sorry, I'm distracted there for a second. My light was doing something funky.
Squirrel. Okay. All right. Well, everybody, we'll see you next week. Thanks again for listening to the Make Music Income podcast, and get out there and collab this week for sure.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. We'll see you.